she slapped it out of me, like for real. And you get a moment where I go, woo! And I stayed in it.
It was so loud. And I thought, oh my God, I really smacked him like hard. And I'm so sorry. And I said, Tay, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And I was thinking, he is not good.
I was pissed. I was like, I'm never gonna work with her again.
Out of nowhere, Taraji P. Henson found herself back in the center of the Hollywood spotlight. And this time, she wasn't staying quiet about the treatment she's faced. When she speaks up, people stop and listen because Taraji only steps forward like this when something behind the scenes has crossed a serious line. Now the wild part? Nia Long recently stepped out showing public support for Taraji after Taraji exposed the unfair pay she dealt with in Hollywood. But instead of taking that support, Taraji basically hit her with a no thanks. Because according to her, this is the same Nia Long who made working on Empire stressful and even tried sliding into her space as the show's lead. Taraji rarely talks about drama she faced on set. She usually keeps it focused and professional. So the fact she's speaking on it now tells you this situation didn't just bother her, it must have cut deep. Nia Long is no beginner in the industry. She's been acting for more than 30 years and built a name the whole world recognizes. But along with the talent came a reputation. People behind the scenes say she can be complicated to work with, and that chatter started long before she ever crossed paths with Taraji on Empire. And here's something folks have pointed out for years. No matter how skilled or unforgettable Nia is, Hollywood kept placing her in the same kinds of roles. Always the girlfriend, the ex, the mysterious woman on the side, or a supporting character orbiting the main storyline. It's like the industry refused to give her the full spotlight she fought for. Yes, she did land some lead roles. Movies like Love Jones, Fatal Affair, Secret Laughter of a Woman, and the MJ biopic put her front and center. But when you zoom out, the majority of her projects kept her as supporting or guest cast throughout much of her career. Insiders say Nia always wanted that next level, mainstream, global star status. And she reportedly thought the movie Alfie, where she acted alongside Jude Law, would finally push her into that space. But when the film flopped in theaters, people close to her say she never fully let go of that disappointment and sometimes projected that frustration onto other actresses she felt were taking roles she deserved.
Why are you so mad? Are you on your period?
That brings us to a moment people still talk about. Remember when she threw shade at Zoe Saldana being cast in Avatar? Instead of cheering her on, she publicly said things like she'd been passed over for roles she believed she could have handled. That comment turned heads instantly, and not in a positive way. All that history makes Taraji's reaction to Nia's sudden support make way more sense now. Because from Taraji's perspective, this wasn't real support. It was someone who once made her life harder suddenly trying to stand beside her when the spotlight is shining bright.
Bit of a challenge as well.
Yeah, she was a challenge up here a little bit.
She was, yeah.
Nia didn't want us to record her or nothing at first.
Yeah.
Nia even tried to get ahead of the situation, and she said,
We open doors for brown girls to be exactly who we are, and that's beautifully complicated. And so it's been a blessing and a curse because here's what I do know. Nia Long knows her light. Nia Long knows her makeup. Nia Long knows her hair. And you probably can't talk me into something else unless you show me. If you want to call that difficult, then sorry.
Nia Long didn't just speak her mind, she spoke it loud when she asked, why wasn't I considered for Avatar? I think Zoe's amazing, but I wasn't even a topic of discussion. That shook the room because she wasn't just talking about one movie. She was calling out Hollywood as a whole. That statement carried a lot of weight. And that wasn't the only time she pointed fingers. Way back, she had something to say about Halle Berry and Queen Latifah too, claiming there were other Black actresses who deserved more chances and that Halle should have been helping lift more women into bigger roles. That comment rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because it came off like she was placing responsibility on Halle instead of the system itself. Some people even claimed Nia wanted Drew Barrymore's spot in Charlie's Angels and genuinely felt Hollywood was freezing her out. Whether that was true or not, it was clear she believed she deserved more shine, more roles, more respect. And once that mindset formed, it followed her everywhere she went. So when Taraji P. Henson started rising fast, landing major roles, receiving major praise, and building a powerful fan base, you already know Nia allegedly had something to say about that too. Insiders say she would talk about how Taraji didn't deserve the doors being open for her and how strange it was that Hollywood seemed so quick to embrace her. That energy alone created tension before they ever even shared a scene. By the time they had to work together on Empire, the atmosphere was already thick. During season 3, Nia joined the show with a recurring role as Juliana, Lucius Lyon's sharp, dangerous ex who went toe-to-toe with Cookie. Her character was meant to match Cookie's fire, but the behind-the-scenes attitude turned the set into a battlefield. People close to production said Nia got the gig partially because of how close she was with Terrence Howard. But once she arrived, the vibe shifted instantly. She walked onto the lot acting like she was the biggest star in the building. That alone didn't sit well with anyone, especially since the show already had a huge cast with strong personalities. It got to the point where she was consistently showing up late to her scenes. Not 5 minutes late, late, so late that the producers had to use stand-ins just so Taraji and Terrence could rehearse without losing the whole day. Imagine trying to prepare an intense scene while waiting on someone who acts like the clock doesn't apply to them. And when Nia finally did make it in, she wasn't coming in humble. She'd head straight to hair and makeup, and insiders say she was cold, distant, and rude toward the crew who were just trying to do their jobs. These were veteran professionals, and they weren't used to dealing with that kind of attitude. Any tiny detail she didn't like, her hair, her makeup, the lighting, turned into a whole ordeal. She would push back until things were exactly how she wanted them, even if it slowed down the entire set. That pattern didn't just happen once. People said it happened again and again until the crew didn't know what version of her they were getting each day she showed up. All these behaviors created a wall between her and Taraji, who was already carrying the show on her back and didn't have time for someone trying to hijack the spotlight. And when fans later wondered why Taraji wasn't accepting Nia's sudden public support, this is the history people pointed to. Things got so tense on set that the hair and makeup team eventually filed a formal complaint against Nia Long. And that was a huge deal because they had worked with every type of celebrity you can imagine, from Demi Moore to Alicia Keys, Kelly Rowland, and even Naomi Campbell, without ever needing to do that before. For them to all agree something was wrong, you know the situation had reached a breaking point. Word about Nia's behavior started circulating around the set faster than anyone expected, and one day everything hit its peak when she came in extremely late again, and an actor finally asked her directly why she was showing up like that. That question must have caught her off guard because instead of answering, she snapped back with full force. People rushed in, trying to calm her down and smooth things over, but the tension in the room was thick. Taraji eventually stepped in too, trying to add some humor and break the uncomfortable energy. But whatever she said only made things explode even more. It didn't land as a joke. If anything, it set off a second wave of attitude. Nia wasn't letting anything slide, and Taraji wasn't folding either. And considering how Nia had been talking to the cast and treating the crew, Taraji had already lost patience long before this moment. Everybody who's worked with Taraji knows she's extremely protective of the people behind the scenes. The makeup artists, the camera operators, the assistants, all of them. She knows exactly what it feels like to be overlooked or treated like she's not important because that's how she started in the industry. Taraji has written openly about being an extra on Malcolm X and other films where she wasn't given access to the same resources or respect the bigger actors got. They would tell her certain food, certain rooms, and certain treatment were only for SAG actors or those with star roles. That stuck with her deeply, and ever since then, she makes sure the crew around her feels respected and valued. So for Nia to walk into Empire as a guest star and act like the rules didn't apply to her, Taraji wasn't tolerating that for 1 second. She made it clear she wasn't just another name on the cast list. She was the lead of the show, the face of the whole production, and she wasn't about to let someone come in and disrupt everything she helped build. According to someone who worked behind the scenes, Taraji straight up reminded Nia that she was the star of Empire, while Nia was listed second on the call sheet because she was there in a supporting role. That comment hit Nia hard. Maybe it wasn't meant to sting as deeply as it did, but the way it landed made things even worse. The crew member said Nia took it personally. Very personally. She felt embarrassed, disrespected, and suddenly everything became about protecting her pride instead of doing the job she was hired to do. And from that point on, she refused to shoot scenes with Taraji at all. Her ego had taken a hit, and instead of letting it go, she decided she wasn't stepping foot into any moment where Taraji was involved. The whole situation threw production into chaos because you can't film a storyline built around conflict and tension if one of the actors flat out refuses to show up. But once that divide was created, there was no walking it back. Things stayed icy every time Nia stepped onto the set. Once things fell apart between Nia and Taraji, producers had no choice but to get creative. They started rearranging scenes, shooting around schedules, and doing everything possible to keep the two women apart on set without completely ruining the storyline. Managing the tension became a full-time job because the egos in the room were huge, and neither actress was budging on how they thought things should run. This wasn't just about how the crew was treated anymore. It had turned into a power struggle. Both actresses had decades in the industry, both had reputations, and both believed they deserved the spotlight. And when Nia stepped into the show, she brought her own vision of how her storyline should look, which didn't match what the rest of the cast and creative team were trying to build. A source later said things eventually cooled off toward the end of the season, but that tension never fully disappeared. They explained it pretty simply. Two accomplished actresses, both used to leading roles, both wanting to be the center of attention, it was bound to clash. And no matter what Nia hoped for, the truth was solid. Taraji was the star of Empire, and nothing was going to shift that title. It didn't matter who walked in or what ideas they had. The show was Cookie's world. Nia came in trying to shape the story her way, and the production team just wasn't going in that direction. So once season 3 wrapped, everyone behind the scenes already knew there was no realistic way Nia could return for season 4. The energy was too unstable, the frustration too fresh, and the stakes too high for the main cast to risk bringing that dynamic back. But even after her final episode aired, the drama still wasn't done. Reports began to circulate that Nia was threatening legal action against the production team over something as simple as her goodbye moment on set. Normally, when a guest star films their last scene, an assistant director announces it to the whole crew, everyone claps, and the actor gets a clean send-off as they walk out. It's tradition, respectful, and part of the set culture. But on Nia's final day, things didn't go according to that script at all. The assistant director wasn't available because he was busy helping Terrence Howard search for Benadryl after Terrence had some kind of allergic reaction on set. With all the commotion going on, the AD was still distracted by the time Nia wrapped her final take. So instead of getting the usual applause and farewell, Nia just walked off without the ceremonial recognition. And according to someone in production, she didn't take it lightly. Not even a little bit. The second she stepped off set, she told a team member she planned to sue the show because that proper goodbye was supposed to be written into her contract. The crew was stunned because most people wouldn't make that a legal situation, but Nia took it as a personal insult. To her, it wasn't just a missed moment. It was disrespect after everything else she felt she had dealt with during her time on the show. That final frustration became the last chapter in a partnership that was already impossible to fix. When the story broke that Nia Long was tough to work with, she tried to shut everything down instantly, claiming she always treated people with respect and stayed professional. But let's be real, when an entire set, multiple departments, and different people from different days all say the same thing, someone isn't telling the truth, and it's not the whole crew. Nia doubled down trying to get ahead of the noise, saying things like, "If you want to call that difficult, then sorry," as if that explanation would clean everything up. But all she did was confirm exactly what everyone was whispering, that she carried herself like a full-on diva and wasn't adjusting for anybody unless every single person bent over backwards to make her comfortable. That kind of attitude might slide if you're the lead on a project, but not when you're the guest stepping into a machine that's already running smooth. And when someone refuses to be flexible, refuses to listen, and refuses to blend with the environment, people are going to notice. That's the stuff that creates friction on set, and it becomes impossible to hide. This is why it's so clear why Taraji still doesn't mess with her like that. Taraji is big on treating the crew well, respecting the set, and keeping everything professional, so dealing with someone who brings that kind of energy, that's not something she was ever going to look past. And trust me, the internet didn't let Nia slide either. Once the details came out, people online kept calling her out, picking apart every interview, every behind-the-scenes moment, and every rumor connected to her name. They dragged her for being dismissive, dragged her for talking down on other actresses, and dragged her for acting like everyone else was the problem. Because here's the thing, 10 people don't tell the exact same story unless something real happened. And in Nia's case, it wasn't just 10. It was makeup artists, production assistants, actors, camera crew, all describing similar experiences on different days, in different scenes, at different times. When that many voices line up, the image gets pretty clear. Even watching clips from that season of Empire, the tension wasn't hiding. You could see it in the way people stood, the way certain cast members avoided eye contact, the awkward spacing during group scenes. The energy was off, and anybody with common sense could feel it. Some folks tried to argue that people were just jealous of Nia or trying to tear her down, but that doesn't make sense when the same behavior kept popping up across totally different projects throughout her career. It wasn't just one set being shady or one co-star talking, it was patterns repeating themselves over time. That's why so many people believe Taraji's side of things without hesitation. Taraji's known for keeping it genuine, keeping it respectful, and lifting people up instead of tearing them down. She doesn't move like someone who invents drama or picks fights for attention. So when she distances herself from someone, especially another actress who's been in the game for decades, people pay attention. And when the entire atmosphere of a show shifts because of one person's attitude, that says more than any interview ever could. At the end of the day, Nia tried to defend herself, but the stories didn't disappear. The memories didn't fade. And the tension that the cast and crew felt during those shoots was obvious from the outside looking in. That type of vibe doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from someone who walks in expecting the whole world to rearrange itself just for them. What a lot of people don't realize is that the tension between Taraji and Nia didn't just live on the set, it followed them long after their scenes were wrapped. Hollywood insiders kept whispering that Nia's time on Empire became a cautionary tale for producers working on other shows because nobody wanted that kind of energy spilling into their sets again. Word travels fast in that town, and once people start talking, they do not stop. After everything that went down, casting directors reportedly began approaching Nia with extra caution. Not because she lacked talent, Nia's skill has never been in question, but because no one wanted to deal with a situation where the lead actress and a guest star couldn't even be in the same room. That kind of drama slows down production, costs money, and pushes entire schedules off track. Some insiders even said that certain studios quietly made notes about how difficult communication had been during that time. Every studio has their own internal reputation boards, and once someone gets flagged for repeated issues, those flags don't just vanish. They stay attached for years, and they shape who gets called back first and who ends up on the second round of discussions. That says plenty by itself. Meanwhile, Taraji's reputation only grew stronger. People started seeing her as not just the face of a hit show, but as someone who handled pressure with real leadership. She was the kind of actress who looked out for the crew, kept everything professional, and didn't let anybody walk all over the people who made the show run. Directors love someone who can control a room without causing chaos, and Taraji became known for exactly that. But here's where things got even messier. Fans started doing their own digging once the story leaked. They pulled up old interviews, award show moments, and behind-the-scenes clips to compare how Nia interacted with different casts over the years, and a pattern started sticking out to a lot of people. Whenever she felt she wasn't getting the attention she deserved, her whole mood shifted. That wasn't just one project, it was something fans noticed across multiple eras of her career. It didn't help that former co-workers began dropping subtle comments about her attitude during past films and shows. Not full tell-all stories, but little hints like, certain people made the set harder than it needed to be, or some folks came with energy we didn't ask for. Nobody mentioned names directly, but the timing made it obvious who they were referring to. At the same time, Taraji wasn't speaking publicly about the drama. She didn't need to. Her silence said enough. Everyone who heard about the Empire situation already knew her side had weight because she had never been known to exaggerate or stir problems for attention. She moved with purpose, and people respected that. Production members from Empire also said things shifted immediately once Nia left the show. The set ran smoother, filming moved faster, and the atmosphere felt lighter. That wasn't shade. It was simply relief. When one person brings tension into a creative environment, the whole space feels it, and when that tension exits, everyone notices the difference right away. And something else worth noting, Nia never got invited back for even a cameo or a flashback scene. Not once. That speaks volumes because Empire brought all kinds of characters back for extra moments throughout different seasons. But when it came to Nia's character, they kept that door locked. Hollywood loves a good comeback story, but only when the person is willing to adjust, evolve, or acknowledge what went wrong. And from everything insiders shared, Nia didn't do any of that. She doubled down instead. Meanwhile, Taraji continued building her empire, pun intended, with roles, projects, and partnerships that showed she knew how to move forward without keeping unnecessary drama around her. By the time everything unfolded, the public had already formed their own opinions, and the reactions were intense. People kept saying Nia acted entitled, moved like a diva, and didn't respect the environment she walked into, while Taraji showed nothing but leadership from start to finish. It wasn't hard to see which side folks leaned toward after the behind-the-scenes stories started lining up from every direction. Fans who admired Taraji's consistency, her work ethic, and her loyalty to the crew weren't shy about speaking up either. They praised her for staying grounded, for protecting people who don't always get the spotlight, and for stepping into her role as the backbone of Empire with real confidence. And when you compare that energy to someone who arrived demanding top-level treatment without offering the same energy back, it becomes clear why support fell the way it did. People didn't just take Taraji's side because she was the lead. They took her side because her character, her professionalism, and her history backed it up. Nia, on the other hand, had a long list of previous complaints floating around from different projects, different eras, and different casts. So it wasn't surprising that many viewers felt the pattern finally made sense. Some fans even said things like, Nia may be stunning on the outside, but that inside needs real work, which tells you exactly how strongly the audience reacted to her behavior. They weren't impressed by the beauty or the legacy. They were paying attention to the attitude, and they didn't like what they saw. Meanwhile, Taraji continued showing why people respect her so deeply. She's talented, she's powerful, and she carries herself with the kind of grace people admire. That's why so many supporters proudly say they're riding with her no matter what. And honestly, it makes sense. The energy she brings to a set is the kind of energy everyone wants around them. With all that said, the situation between Taraji and Nia became one of those Hollywood stories people go back to whenever the topic of on-set behavior comes up. Not because it was the biggest scandal ever, but because it showed the difference between someone who leads with care and someone who leads with their ego. And in an industry built on teamwork, one person's attitude can shift an entire production. Now, the real question is, what do you think about all this? Do you feel like Nia was misunderstood? Do you believe Taraji handled things the right way? Or do you think the whole situation exposed something deeper in Hollywood's culture? Whatever your take is, drop your thoughts, because this story definitely brings out strong opinions. Before you dip out, make sure you hit that like button, share this video with someone who loves celebrity drama, and subscribe so you never miss what's coming next. And don't forget, your next video is already waiting on the screen, so tap in and keep the tea flowing. I'll see you in the next one.